What's going on, everybody? The hair here, Joe from MMA Investing. Very, very excited for this. This is the Super Bowl of MMA when Conor Mcgregor fights. So we're very, very pumped up. I'm glad you're back, my friend.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me back for sure. It's always awesome when we get to break down the Conor cards. And then on top of the Conor McGregor and Porier fight, we got, five or six other awesome fights, which is rare on Conor cards like we're talking about, because usually everyone knows and Dana White knows they're going to buy the McGregor card regardless. So it's pretty cool to see an actual stat card on top of the Conor card.
Definitely.
So
No, definitely, bro. And we could honestly break down like 14 fights, but we'll keep it
yeah.
we'll keep it those five, man. So yeah, great having you on. You have that MMA knowledge that we desperately need here and the hair and the beard. So you know what? It's fucking awesome to have you back. We'll start it off with Tai Tuivasa and Greg Hardy. So it's always fun. We always talk about the heavyweights. That's our weakness. We love to see them. How do you see that fight going?
Yeah, man. Heavyweight fights are always awesome because, any given second that thing can be over.
Big time.
No matter how the fight's going to. We've seen like Volkov and Derek Lewis. Volkov's dominating for 2 rounds and 3/4 of it, and then boom, out like a light. So this fight, man, I mean, Greg Hardy's actually, I think, a pretty good fighter. It's just the problem with that dude is he has 1 round of gas. You usually can survive that first round with Greg Hardy, man, and you can probably finish him or you can cruise to a decision. His last fight with Tybura, he was looking really good in that first round, piecing him up well. And then boom, the second round hits, the guy's done. Like, gets ground and pounded, easy finish for Tybura. In this fight, I kind of see it going the same, honestly. I think Ty Voss is also a really good fighter as well.
Yeah.
He's pretty technical for a heavyweight, really good low kicks, decent hands. I think his main weapon, though, is definitely those low kicks he likes to use, those heavy swinging legs. So I think that first round is going to go a little bit similar to Tybura fight, maybe not as dominant. I can kind of see Hardy getting the better of the exchanges, being a little more faster, a little more precise, quicker to the punch.
Yeah.
I think Ty Voss is going to start chewing up that leg pretty like he usually does. So I don't see Hardy being a guy that checks leg kicks well at all. So I think after a couple of those leg kicks, the whole fight's going to start to change. Probably pretty close, like I said, maybe a slight edge to Hardy in that first round. But as soon as that second round hits, I think those leg kicks are really going to start adding up. And I think it's just going to be too much for Hardy eventually. He's going to start slowing down. I think Tuivasa is just going to put him on him, either stop him with those low leg kicks or just put him out once he tires out and maybe gets on top of him or just pounds him out against the cage with with a flurry of punches. So I see Tuivasa getting out, finishing that second round, man.
So you see Tai Tuivasa getting the finish, you said, right?
Yeah, Tuivasa getting that finish in that second
okay.
round. Okay.
So, yeah, great breakdown. Now, I see it a little bit similar so Hardy, with him, since he was an NFL player, world-class athlete, he had that advantage coming into MMA. And that's just, well, from my point of view anyways. You know what I mean? That's why he was able to to skip a few. He didn't have to fight at tiny little promotions, you know what I mean? Because he's already a name and he's super athletic. And then, he hits, he's a mammoth of a man too. So at that point, I think if he does win, it has to be in the first round, maybe the second round, but you know how he is, he blitzes. He's a blitzer.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it kind of falls into his favor a little bit because Tua likes to rock too. And he likes to exchange too. So if Tua does that with him in the first round, I could definitely see Hardy winning the fight. I could definitely see it. Now, if Tua wants to fight smart, like you said, does the leg kicks, kind of does all that, then I don't see not even 1% chance Hardy winning. It just really depends how they approach the fight. Like I said, if he wants to brawl with him, now Tua can knock him out too. I think Tua has the power to do it. He's done it. But Hardy's fast, like you said, all that too. So if it's 1.5 going to the second round, then yeah, I could see a victory route for Hardy. But if Tua plays it smart, I think he's a seasoned veteran. Overall as an MMA fighter, Tua's the better fighter, I think.
Right.
So it just depends. Like if it goes past the second round, there's no way I see Hardy winning. But first round, if he blitzes and Tua goes after him too, then yeah, I could see Hardy taking it for sure.
Yeah, I agree 100%, man. I mean, just real quick, I think Hardy, dude, he kind of impressed me that first round. His hands be like really, really, really good. Like he was quick, precise punches, really fast hands for a heavyweight. So yeah, exactly what you said. I agree, man, 100%.
Yeah, no, we're on the same page with that. Next one, possible future superstar, Mr. Sugar Sean. That's next, right? Sugar Sean O'Malley. Who's he fighting against?
Luis Smolka.
Luis Smolka, yes. 17-7, not a horrible record. Um, man, it's again, obviously it's not he's not Conor McGregor, but Sugar Sean has that potential. And before that Cheeto fight, he was getting that superstar potential. People love that guy. He's a big. I think he can still be a superstar. If it goes in his favor. So the fact that he's on this card is pretty awesome. Sugar Sean is he's a star that the UFC I kind of think needs, but I think can definitely make, with the right promoting and of course the number one thing, winning at that point. So we're now being that he's coming back. Well, this last fight he won after the Cheeto fight, he came back, he won. Now he's fighting now he's going to this fight. How do you see this fight going out for Sugar Sean?
Yeah, dude. I mean, a lot of people I think are pretty pissed off that this is Sean O'Malley's opponent, especially after his last victory over Almeida, who I mean at this point in his career isn't really much anymore. He was a pretty high caliber prospect at one point, really good record. But I don't know what Smolka has for O'Malley, man. I mean, Smolka, he's kind of kill or be killed, really.
Yeah.
Doesn't have the greatest record, kind of decent at everything, that doesn't do anything particularly well. And I just think that's really just not a good thing when you're fighting Sean O'Malley. I just see that fight kind of playing out how Sean wants to play it out, which is at range, picking the shots, taking it to him when he wants to take them. Smoke is an outstanding wrestler, and I really think that Sugar Show is a little bit like Izzy. He has that he's a really good striker, and people tend to think that he's not a good grappler, which he really isn't, honestly, when we look at his credentials. But he's really rangy. He moves well laterally, and it's really hard to take him down, man. It's really hard to get in on his legs like that, and I don't see Smoker being able to do that. And that Smoker's really only path to victory is getting O'Malley to the mat, which I think is going to be harder to do than people think. So, yeah, I just see it playing out similar to the Almeida fight, where Sean just kind of keeps it at range, picks his shots, and puts them out in rounds 1 or 2. I could honestly see a first-round knockout for O'Malley. Like I said, Luis Smoke is very kill or be killed. He doesn't have the greatest chin in the world. I can see Sean putting it on early.
Okay, now there's a reason why I asked you first about that fight, because I would have kept it. I'm a little harsher with it. I know you're super into MMA. You broke it down perfectly. You broke it down how I expect Anik and Felder breaking it down professionally. You know what I mean? So great shit. But for me, and I'm asking, this is a question for you now. Is this a point where we're taking the boxing route for this fight for Sugar Sean? Are we kind of giving him a feeder right now? Because we'll be real honest, his opponent's not a really well-known name at all, especially to the casual MMA audience. So is this a point where we're, like I said, could be a superstar, and yes, that Cheeto fight was crazy, was weird, but he won the last fight, and yeah, people are, like you said, people are going to be a little bit disappointed or are disappointed. But are we feeding him to give him more wins, to bring up his star power before we give him like a humongous fight? Do you kind of understand what I'm saying?
No, dude, I think it's a really good question, a really good point for sure.
Yeah.
Like I kind of alluded to earlier, where a lot of people are pissed at this fight.
Yeah.
It's because of the name of Smoke, and people think at this point Sugar Sean should be fighting in the top 15, top 10 caliber guys.
Yeah.
And honestly, I mean, they're not wrong. But the thing is, O'Malley's still a kid, man. Like, I think he's like 25, 26, just like me. Like, he's so young, dude. And you saw in that Cheeto fight, it was a little bit too much too soon. I know it was kind of a fluky thing, but you want to groom this dude along, man. The last thing you want to do is feed him to some top 10 monster, like, I don't know, Marlon Moraes, Rob Font, Ricky Simone, somebody like that, who just
not yet.
Sure, man. Exactly. So I think you can get another win under his belt, another flashy knockout here. Let the kid get some more confidence, let him keep improving, and then you just kind of string him along slowly, man. Don't throw him to the wolves yet. Let him evolve his game a little more. So I don't hate the Smoke fight, honestly. I mean, personally, I would like to see maybe a little bit better of opponent.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Definitely. And hey, I'm not against that strategy. Again, I'm a big WWE advocate. When they find a new shiny toy that they like, quote unquote, the John Cena's, the Roman Reigns, that's what they do. They give them these whatever guys, and they let them do whatever they can to them, and then they just build them up, and they make them these mega stars in that area. Same thing that boxing does it, and boxing gets a lot of shit for it, but the UFC needs stars, bro. I'm a big believer in that, especially with who knows how long Conor's going to fight or how long he's going to keep fighting. Um, there's that WWE aspect that I like. You build up your wrestlers, you give them feeders, and then you make them stars, and that's just how it happens. So I'm not against what they're doing. Again, Sugar Sean can be their guy, and again, besides him, who else is really going to be that megastar? There's Hazmat Chimaev, who's you know he's what was his thing? I'll smash this guy. That was his
Smash.
yeah, smash, yeah, but he's had some trouble. Yeah. So, we'll see. I'm not against it. Next fight which I think is gonna be a fucking slobber knocker. Gilbert Burns and Stephen Thompson.
Oh yeah.
Man, that could be a main event itself, I think.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Gilbert Burns coming off the loss against Marty Kamara. Is Marty appropriate to say, or yeah, exactly. Marty from Nebraska. Yeah. But yeah. So and then Stephen Thompson, who's always a killer. How do you see this fight going?
Dude, yeah, this is a freaking awesome fight. We got number 2 and 3 or something like that, I think.
Great matchmaking.
So, yeah, exactly, man. Yeah, Burns coming off a loss, Wonderboy coming off a win. And Wonderboy kind of looks like he might be peaking again. I mean, Wonderboy's always been at the top of the division. I mean, dude's dangerous for anybody.
Always.
Yeah, exactly. And then just stylistically, though, man, I just think it's a very tough matchup for Burns here. I mean, he's a lightweight. I know he's doing much better at welterweight. He's a big dude. Like, it's not like he's like a lightweight. So he's like moving up to welterweight. But the thing is, like, I just think in order to beat Wonderboy, you'd have to be just much more physically imposing than him, like kind of like Darren Till was.
Yeah.
Or just be like a super kind of dominant wrestler that can push him back, apply the pace like a Covington or a Usman. And I just don't think Burns is that guy. I don't think his wrestling is good enough to get Burns to the mat. I mean, Wonderboy to the mat. And obviously, standing on the feet with Wonderboy is a problem for anybody for any duration of time. So I just see that fight just kind of playing out on the feet for the most part. I mean, Burns might be able to hit a takedown or two, but I don't think he'll be able to hold Wonderboy down for too long. And at that point, I just kind of see Wonderboy kind of picking him apart a little bit. It'll be competitive, though, because Burns is really good on the feet, and he is pretty strong physical dude. I'm not saying that at all. But I just think Wonderboy just going to get the better of the exchanges every round. And it's a 3-round fight, and I just see Wonderboy being able to do enough each and every round and work his way to a unanimous decision. But it's going to be a competitive fight. Burns might make it close. If Burns won, would I be shocked at all? Absolutely not. He can definitely get Wonderboy on the mat, pull off a sub, or hit a knockout. I mean, we've seen that Wonderboy knockout before, and Burns definitely has some pop in his hands. And he can strike. So, but yeah, like I said, I think Wonderboy will just do a little bit more of the round and get that decision win.
Yeah, and you make, again, fantastic points. MMA investing. Make sure you follow and fucking get on that Patreon. Here's the thing. What you said, that can definitely happen. Definitely. There's one reason why I think Gilbert Burns is going to win.
Let's hear it.
Because he cried. You remember when he cried? Remember when he cried?
The motivation factor?
Yes, the emotional factor. He actually clipped Marty, and Marty was wobbled on that fight.
Twice.
Yes, and he wanted to win so bad, but as much fun as we're having about saying the whole Marty thing, Marty's actually a super good fighter, ridiculously good. The best, yeah. But again, Burns was super emotional, and he cried like a baby afterwards, like sobbing, like tears and everything.
He wants it.
He wants it really bad. Now, am I going to say Thompson doesn't want it? Of course, Thompson wants it. But I think that was going to be that. This is going to be I think maybe the crossroads for him. Gilbert Burns is super young, but I think he made it to the title fight. He got super, how bad he wants it, super emotional. Those Brazilians train super hard, and Burns isn't necessarily a small guy. I think he can do it, and I think because he cried, I really think it's gonna push him to the next level. Now, real quick, if he does lose this fight, then I think he's done, honestly. And even though he's really young, he's super young. I think he's just going to become just your fight night guy. He'll be on the ESPN Plus cards and that kind of stuff. Maybe make it to the dance a few more times, but after seeing him cry that hard, I'm like, oh, this kid's. I can't wait to see his next fight.
I don't disagree, but my whole thing is that just styles make fights, and I just think
Yeah,
stylistically, it's just a tough matchup for Burns, man. I mean, Wonder Boy's tough for anybody, obviously, but like I think Burns would do better against somebody like Covington or somebody like even Leon Edwards, to where it kind of plays into his hands a little bit more, to where yeah, I kind of like to push the pace, get you to the mat. That's playing in the Burns world. Like the dude's probably the best jiu-jitsu player in the game right now. They're like Oliveira or Maya, I don't know, but he's definitely up there. I just I just don't think he has that wrestling pedigree
yeah.
and just that wrestling edge you need to get Wonder Boy down. And I just don't think he's going to win that striking fight with Wonder Boy. Like I said, could Wonder Boy get clipped and put out? 100%. It's Gilbert Burns is definitely an elite fighter, but I just don't see it happening. So I will have to disagree with you on that one, but I do see your point for sure.
And again, I know it sounds like comedic, the whole crying thing, but I really think that emotional factor is going to play huge for him. Again, because yes, you see fighters, get sad when they lose, but he like legit was sobbing, bro. Like sobbing. Like Marty had to pick him up.
He was torn up, yeah.
Yeah, Marty
No,
picked him up. Yeah, so
no, he's an emotional dude for sure, dude. But like he wants that more than anything. But like those Brazilians, dude, they live and breathe that shit. So
yeah, so we'll see. It should be fun though. I can't wait for that fight.
no, yeah, I mean that's awesome, Conor, man. 100%.
Yeah. Now your main event, which of course any McGregor fight is going to sell a fuckload. That's just the way it is. He's their money man. He's their guy. It's the immediate rematch against Dustin Porier. When did they fight? Was it 4 months ago? 3 months ago?
I think it was like 4 months. Was it? Because it's June. I mean, it was in 2021, right? It was January. It was January of 2021.
Yeah.
4.5 months ago, something like that.
Oh man. Me and you talked about when they made this rematch, and we were earlier in the year, and we were like, I don't know about this. You know what I mean? Because I think Conor is who he is right now. You kind of, said the same thing. He has all the money in the world. He sold Proper 12.
Yep.
And he was the highest paid on the Forbes list of last year, passing guys like Cristiano Ronaldo, like Messi, like LeBron James, like all those guys. So
isn't that weird though? I think that should be predicated on like your athletic earnings, not your outside of the company earnings, your outside of athletics earnings. Because obviously he made a shit ton more than he did in the UFC. That's all through his whiskey business, so right? Like that's not. He fought one time. He fought what? One time, I think, in 2020.
One time, yeah, one time.
Yeah, so obviously he did not make $180 million in that one fight with Cowboy. So it's like, I don't know, that doesn't make any sense to me. That's just my opinion.
So I do get it, but also too, because guys like LeBron sponsored by Nike, and they're a big company, and then Messi, the soccer players,
right?
Yeah. So I definitely see your point. He fought once, and maybe it was a couple mil, but he made 98% of that money from the Proper 12.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, I definitely see that. But as far as the fight, man, we'll switch it up. I'll go first this time. A couple days ago, if you would asked me a couple days ago, I would have been like, you know what, fucking Dustin, easy all day, no questions about it. There's a tiny part of me that thinks,
oh boy,
yeah, I know. Listen, don't cut out yet. Don't exit yet. Look at after watching WWE, after watching the Jake Paul stuff, after all that stuff, Logan Paul, you start to think, man, obviously the UFC needs Conor to win. If not, they wouldn't have made that match that fast. Now, real quick, I'm not saying the fix is in. I'm not saying that. I'm also not saying that it's not in either. I'm not saying it's not
this
in.
fight.
Yes.
Conor fight, okay.
Yes, because now I think Porier has a lot of integrity. I really think he would really throw the fight? Probably not. But I think the UFC desperately wants Conor to win. And can you agree on that?
Yeah, 100%. But the thing is, too, I think is even if Conor does lose this fight, he's still going to be the number one dude at the end of the day. So everyone's going to tune in. That dude could be fighting, I don't know, Joe Rogan, and he'll still be the number one paid guy at the end of the year when it comes to UFC.
Yeah,
So I do need him to win, like for him to be as big as he has been in the past and how big he can be.
yeah.
He definitely needs to win this fight. If he loses, it definitely takes away from that. But I do still think he's a top, if not the top guy at the end of the day, still when it comes to earnings and the pay-per-view buys. So yeah, I mean, to your point, yeah, you're pretty much right. But um, I don't know, man. I mean,
I would hate to say,
yeah,
I would hate to think that they actually did that, but you just never fucking know. And Connor is definitely their cash cow. Now, if I'm totally wrong about anything, again, I'm into the conspiracy bullshit and all that, so that's kind of why I've been thinking that stuff. But let's say I'm totally wrong and it's just a regular fight. Dustin wins hands down, hands down. And
hands
then,
down.
yeah, and then to your point, like you just said, and I guess I kind of forget that aspect. Connor's still going to draw a lot. A fight I would make, and I know I'm not breaking down the fight too much because I think Dustin is just that much better than Connor right now. But I think the fight I would make after this for Connor would be Tony Ferguson.
I agree. Yeah, if he loses this fight, it has to be Tony. Two huge names. Tony's still a huge name regardless of the losing streak, and that's a super winnable fight for Connor. Obviously, at this point, you get those two names together, you can sell, yeah, water to a fish at that point, man. But that's an awesome fight. But
No,
yeah, it has to be the fight. I mean,
yeah,
honestly, I can't think anything else.
yeah, great. And then after my bullshit take, I want to hear your take on this.
All right, yeah. So I mean, I do agree with you to some extent for sure. I think Poirier is going to win. I mean, if we get into like the breakdown of it though,
Yeah,
the thing is, Connor owned him the first round. Honestly, I watched that fight again. I mean, he didn't own him, but like he definitely won that first round. Clearly, running some good left hands, hit him pretty clean. Poirier took him well, like he did at the last fight. The first fight, he went down the other way.
yeah,
Connor's the better. It's hard to say that Connor's the better fighter, but Conor just tends to have these things that just don't go his way, man. Like the cardio issue with Diaz, like the leg kick with Porier, just kind of shutting down the calves. Um, so the way I kind of see this fight going is if Conor does make those adjustments, he could definitely win that fight. Like the whole thing with like the karate stance, right?
yeah,
That karate stance, he's bouncing in and out, getting out of range. He's less susceptible to the leg kicks like he was in the first fight, or the second fight, I should say. So if he does implement that game plan, he could definitely win this fight, just staying at range, avoiding the calf kicks. I think everyone thinks the big thing, right, is avoiding the calf kick to that point. That's kind of the takeaway from the first fight, right? That's everyone's narrative going into this fight.
big
Is
time.
Dustin going to land those calf kicks and compromise the leg again? I just don't think there's a way to check those kicks at this point. I don't think you can do enough, especially in 4 months. It's way too soon. You can't do anything about it. You can know he's going to throw the calf kicks, and you're still going to hit him with it, and you're still going to be fucked at the end of the day. So I do think Conor will make some changes. I think he'll implement that karate stance like you see in some of the videos he's been working on.
Yeah,
But at the end of the day, I just don't think it's going to be enough. And like you mentioned, Porier is just pretty much the better fighter right now for the most part. He's been fighting a lot more. He's been more active. He looks better. And activity is a huge part of this. So 4 months is not enough at all. Could Conor win in like a year? Yeah, for sure, probably. But 4 months, man, that's way too soon to jump back in there if the guy just beat you up. So I just see. I mean, I don't think it's going to stay more. I think Dustin will hit those calf kicks for sure.
yeah,
But I just think at the end of the day, Dustin's a lot better boxer than people give him credit for. I think he can definitely box with McGregor, and his durability is way better. So when McGregor can get those knockout shots right away, I think he gets a little discouraged. When he lands clean on Dustin's chin 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, and Dustin's not going away, I think he's just going to eat at his psyche. And when those second round hits again, the third round hits, if it makes it that far, I think Dustin's going to kind of put it on him, keep that pressure, keep that pace. The guy doesn't go away. He has a gas tank for days, and Conor doesn't, obviously. I see this fight going for Dustin, but I see a later finish for him this time. I think in about the fourth round is when Dustin's going to get to him. I just don't think the calf kicks are going to be as effective early like last time. They could be, but I think eventually those calf kicks are going to add up because he's going to hit him with them. There's only so much you can do, like I said. And so I just see a late finish for Dustin this time.
And again, this is why I wanted to switch it this time and have your take, because I knew I was gonna have a out of their delusional conspiracy take, and I appreciate your smart take
The
for
deep
this,
dive.
the MMA investing, the real take for this. So thank you for that. Last question about that fight. Dare I say, and again, I want your opinion on this. Do you think Conor is maybe a little chinny at this point?
Little, it kind of cut out. What'd you say?
A little chinny? Would you call Conor a little chinny at this point?
I think he's always going to have durability issues, right? I mean, we saw in a Diaz fight, Diaz has never put anybody away with a freaking 1-2 cross down the middle. And Conor, I mean, I know he was tired, but it was the second round of the fight, and he gets clipped with the left hand, and the dude's on freaking shaky legs, looking like a deer in headlights.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe he does, man. At the end of the day, like I think his chin is definitely in question here. I think if Dustin clips him a couple times, he's going to be in trouble for sure. And Dustin has some very crisp boxing, the way he switches stances, the way he works in and out, the way he moves laterally. It's going to cause issues for McGregor, man. McGregor's probably the better pure boxer, the better pure striker, but this is an MMA fight. So I just don't see it going good for Conor in 4 months, man. This is way too soon. He should have been fighting somebody like Dan Hooker. I know Paul Felder's retired, but that would have been a good match. Ferguson, like you mentioned.
Hooker would have been great, I think, for him. That would have been perfect.
That's a winnable fight. Hooker's a tough ass matchup too, no doubt, but it's a lot more winnable than Porier, I think, at this point. I think Porier is the best lightweight in the world right now, and I think by the end of 2021, we're going to see him as champion, or in early 2022. I think he takes out McGregor here, takes out Oliveira after he gets that title shot, after he beats McGregor. Now down the road, we'll see. I mean, McGregor's definitely going to win that fight, but I think Dustin's the best lightweight in the world right now since Habib retired, and I think he's going to show that for sure.
Awesome take. Again, I'll probably come up with some more delusional takes as we continue these breakdowns, but this is why we have you to kind of keep us back, bring us back down to earth. Yeah, man, we're very excited for it. Very happy that Conor's fighting and we get to do this stuff like that. Again, appreciate you having you on, bro. You always kill it. Yeah,
man. Thanks for having me. We'll break them down soon, I'm sure. Got a good card this weekend, and then next weekend we got Vittori and Adesanya there, so we'll see what happens.
We'll do it. MMA investing, go follow it. He makes the picks, you make the money. The Hair and the Beard podcast, we'll do Pokemon and a bunch of other bullshit. But we're here with MMA investing, doing God's work, MMA style. Appreciate having you on, bro. MMA investing, Joe, the Italian Stallion, the Hair. Out.